Hello and welcome to New Filmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and we're here at the South Park Center and I'm delighted to be joined with Lidieth with her movie Mojacito and Me. Let's take a look at the clip.
Oftentimes, we don't think much of the moments we live in our cars. We tend to focus on the destination, the traffic jams, la rutina of going to work. But there is so much of life that happens in front and behind the wheel. Now imagine driving the same car for 16 years, with over 250,000 miles and counting. What kind of stories you will share?
I'm so happy you brought your film to us. It brought such joy to us and it was such a pleasure to have at the film festival yesterday, so thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
For those that haven't seen your film, tell us a brief synopsis.
Yeah, so Mojacito and Me is the story of my 17-year-old car and myself, and more like the experiences that we share over 17 years.
It's lovely. Like honestly, like I think people take for granted what you go through, and you've got some amazing stories and then some really difficult stories there as well. Where did the inspiration come for you in deciding to make a film about it?
Yeah, so as I, spoiler alert, as I talk in the film a little bit, I've been moving a lot.
Yeah.
As an immigrant in the United States, moving from one place to another. And to me, my car has been kind of like a constant, like something that is close to home in a way. And I wanted to kind of like remember that, in the future. I know that cars are not gonna last forever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eventually have to let it go. So I wanted to document it into a film.
It's so beautiful, and and it was so nice the way it was, the way you portrayed it, the kind of love, but the experiences that you had in the car, and it's amazing. Sometimes we take for granted like all the journey, but I think for you personally, say when you've moved a lot, it's a comfort. It's a place of like it's yours. Did you is that something that you really felt like internally as well? Like this was your kind of comfort place?
Absolutely, and there was a point in my life where I was almost, close to being homeless, and to me, like, okay, at least I have the car. The car is like my space that I can own, right? So yeah, I definitely provided that safety for me.
And how was it like filming it for you? Like, especially something that's like completely personal to you and probably not easy to film, driving, etc. How was that process for you?
Yeah, I think, well, that was fun. I mean, I enjoyed the production part of it, but I think the hardest thing was certainly just going back into memories. I've been documenting my life since I got my first camera.
Wow.
And so I have a hard drive with plenty of photos and videos out there. And so for me to go through all of that just to find the specific things that I wanted to use in the film, that was like heartbreaking. It got me very emotional. So that, to me, that was a challenge in itself.
And I just want to say thank you for sharing something so personal. I was really feeling just deeply for your lovely brother and what you were going through and experiencing. Is it sometimes nice when, I mean not nice, but like when you're kind of unleashing some of your memories and you say you've been documenting since you had a camera, does it feel kind of therapeutic to release it out there, or how does that experience feel? Because it's so personal to you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's definitely a lot of healing that happened until, I got to a point where I feel comfortable sharing because it's very sensitive information. Not every immigrant or person who goes through, some traumatic events can open up like that.
Yeah.
For me, I feel like I have healed in that regard, and I felt okay and safe to share my story. And I'm just very, how can I say, blessed to be able to be supported in order to tell stories that are very personal like this.
Yeah.
And that folks are able to connect with them. So that is even more rewarding to me.
Yeah, and you were part of a very special program at New Filmmakers LA, which was a celebration of immigrants in the United States and everything, and it was so special to see so many amazing, talented people up on the stage, yourself included. What was that kind of feeling like to then share these like personal experiences and then share it with people that maybe can have empathy with what you're going through, but also giving it out to a wider audience for them to understand as well?
Yeah, I don't think the New Filmmakers LA know this, so I'm going to say this. This is the first time I say it. Back in 2019, November, I believe, that was the first time that I came to this festival as a Chapman alumni.
Yes.
And I was so impressed with the films, and after I got home, I actually had a little of a breaking point because I was going through a lot of things, and I felt like, wow, that's real talent right there. And I felt very crappy. I was like, damn, my films suck. I'm going through all of these things. But then, I even consider like giving up filmmaking, because I was comparing myself to other people that perhaps don't share the same experiences that I do, you know, or the same struggles. And you know, but I didn't give up. And now, like, full circle, I'm here at this festival again, and then one of my films is actually playing. So to me, that's like, damn, you know, I'm glad I didn't give up on it.
When we're here.
And we're here.
Oh my God, I'm getting
So
tears in my eyes. That's beautiful. I'm so glad you didn't give up, because your story is important. Your perspective is really, really important as well. So I'm glad. That's a really, really good. We must never give up, and that's, you know, wonderful to hear. And thank you for bringing it back to us as well. I'm glad we made an impression. You know, going through the journey of, like, even production-wise, like, it's, again, how do you, because I know these obviously footage that you kind of had, but how do you begin to sort of piece a documentary together? Like, what kind of things do you do to kind of research, to sort of, you know, it's not easy, is it, to kind of put a documentary together? What's your kind of process?
Yeah, well, for this particular documentary, it took me about a month of just the brainstorming and coming up with a script kind of thing, because I am most experiencing, obviously, non-scripted work, you know, just kind of going with the flow in terms of documentary. But for this one, it needed to have a script. And so I started just making notes and, you know, brainstorming those notes with my my friend Jesus Iñiguez, who was very supportive in this process. And just, you know, weeding out all the little details that were not really, you know, did not fit in within the time frame of the film. And so it was just about really, you know, exercising and moving around things up, and then until I finalized the script. And once I had the script, we actually went and shoot, you know. But I did come up with the whole process of, like, okay, maybe we should start in the morning, you know, prep the car, go on to a journey, go on to, like, a trip, and that's when we ended up in the desert. I know it's, like, very, like, a desert, what, you know? But yeah, so that was the whole idea. Kind of like go on to a journey as I am telling my story.
So you took a month to kind of bring the research together. How long was the shoot?
The shoot was about, I'm gonna say, well, actually shooting 3 days.
3 days,
yeah,
okay,
only
got
3
you.
days, but for sure, obviously the planning and everything, yes.
And then, of course, the big part of a documentary is, you know, it's usually the edit.
Oh,
how was that kind of experience, and how long did that kind of part of the process take?
Yeah, definitely, that was the longest part, about 2 months or so, because, like I said, dealing with such personal footage, there were times where I just felt like completely lost or something, like emotionally drained, crying a little bit, and then going back into editing, you know what I mean? So that definitely took a little bit longer than usual for me. But until I was able to shape it into the way that I felt it was satisfying.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. And again, we're so grateful you shared your story with us. Like, going from where you were at in 2019 and everything you've had to experience and go through, et cetera, what was the feeling like to have your film up there on the big screen, and what did you kind of want your audience to take from your film as well?
Yeah, well, it's a blessing, you know, to have your film anywhere and just to have an audience. I don't care if it's on, like, you know, 3-year-olds or whatever. I just to engage with another human being and to, you know, talk about a story. To me, that's, you know, it's a great blessing. And then I hope that something that people can take from this film is, like, yeah, definitely what you said before. Don't take things for granted. You know, I think enjoy the now and the present, and if you can document it, as you know, I love documenting stuff, definitely, because, you know, things are gonna continue to move. But yet you never lose the core of who you are. And so I think that's one of the things that I wanted to go after this in this documentary. Like, yes, the car is getting dense, it's getting old, it looks crappy, like, it looks pretty bad from the outside.
It's got a history.
Yeah, it got a history, right? But
that silly bird, though, what that bird was doing, my goodness, I know, right?
But on the interior, still working, you know, still moving. It has, now it really does over 250,000 miles and still moving pretty strongly. I haven't done many major fixes. So the same thing happens with me. Like, yes, I have changed, obviously, from a 30-year-old woman, like teenage girl, to now. I have changed a lot. But on the interior, I still have the same value. So to me, that's like, just stay true to who you are.
That's so true. That's so true. You know, I mean, I really love the love of your family that you had on there, as well as your lovely car. And I think a lot of people don't really understand what one goes through in terms of separation and how traumatizing that can be on a family. Did you kind of want to sort of, like, you know, educate people a little bit, because this is a really unfair situation that many people suffer, and you know, I'm so sorry you've had to go through that as your family. Was that something you wanted to sort of, you know, kind of bring into context as well?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that not a lot of people realize, you know, some of the experiences that immigrants or people in certain situations have to face in terms of family separation. I think the pandemic actually did a, how can I say it? For lack of a better word, like a pretty good job at explaining folks, you know, at the very beginning when everything happened, you were not able to be with your loved ones, right? And maybe they were sick or something, and you could not like have a proper funeral. So that's actually something that happened, like that's similar to what we experienced as immigrants, and not being able to have your family there. So yes, you know that your brother is out there, but you don't really know when it's gonna be the next time you're gonna see them. So it's like, you know, not having that ability to be there, you know, touching and hugging. So it will
happen again. Well, thank you again for sharing that, and I'm so excited to see your next film or your next project. So what's coming next for you?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things happening right now. I'm currently working on a actually feature documentary. I'm not the director, I'm the co-producer, but it's a pretty great story of Luis Cortez, who is a DACA individual and a lawyer, the first DACA lawyer who went to defend the DACA case in the Supreme Court. So we're following his story. I've been working on that one for about a year and a half.
That's amazing.
But personal projects, I know that this one might take quite a long time, but I want to work basically, tell my own story, but in reverse. Like, I want to tell the story of a Salvadorian kid who was born here in the U.S. And because of deportation, they have to go back. The family has to go move to El Salvador, and she's 13 years old. You know, and of course she speaks Spanish at home, but it's not perfect, and you know, has to find a way through culture and all these difficult things, and finding her identity. So that's kind of like what I went through here in the U.S., but I want to do it backwards.
In the reverse. Oh my goodness.
So
that's
I want to tell
great.
that story like in a series.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. That's going to be wonderful. That's going to be fantastic. Well, I can't wait for that project. But just, you know, you mentioned something. Just, I think it's so important that, you know, you talk about, you know, your voice and you know, your perspective in making films, and you know, knowing that your story is great. For any other filmmaker out there, also kind of in a similar kind of thoughts about themselves, or putting their story out there, do you have kind of any advice you could share with our other filmmaking audience?
Yeah, I think this will sound a little cliche, because in every conference, every panel that I go to, people keep saying the same thing, but I found that is real, you know, it's true. And it's just literally just be who you're, you know, bring yourself into the stories that you make, you know, that will make them authentic. And I think when you are the truest to yourself, that makes an impact. Like, for example, in here, like with Mojosito and me, I could have fake it, you know, but I wanted to stay true to, you know, how things happened. And I think that's what people can relate, just to raw emotions, raw, like being real. And so just stay real.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you're making films. I'm ready for the feature, and I'm wishing you best success with that. But thank you so much for bringing your film, and God bless your family, God bless your car, okay? Mojosito. So yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate it.